Hiya. Forgive me, my nose is red. I've just come back from a walk to the river. I felt the need to go and restore some balance, so I have. How you doing? Quite henny? Quite heavy energy at the moment, isn't it? So I went down for a walk, and I was kind of keen to find some pine cones. It will become clear why. So I kind of put out my intention. I went on my walk. I'd like to find a couple of pine cones, please. So voila, I've got them. A few odd looks as I was scurrying around on the floor, but I'm old enough now not to worry about that sort of stuff. So I'll show you how they go as it progresses. So good find for me today. I had a desire to pull a couple of cards for the collective. I'm well aware, like I was trying to say earlier, that the energy is quite heavy at the moment, and we need to get ourselves back to a place of balance as much as we possibly can. Whatever that means for you. So for me, it's always a walk into nature, usually on my own. I can go and chill, collect my thoughts, and rebalance myself. So if that's available and you haven't done that yet, maybe it's worth an idea. And sometimes what we've got to do is give ourselves a bit of a kick up the bottom, because it's cold out there and it's warm in here. So sometimes we've kind of got to be that motivating force behind, because it will always make us feel better. Down the river today, what did I see? I saw the ducks just doing duck things, without care in the world. The trees, although they haven't got the leaves on the branches at the moment, they've got the promise, haven't they, that they will come back, and they will. The river's just flowing. It's not holding on. It's not doing anything other than just being its natural self. And all around us, nature is reminding us of life is going on. Now, at the moment, it's hard. Let's not pretend it isn't. And I'm not going to put some spiritual cliche on it to make it all better, because I can't. But what I do know is we are being urged to find our points of balance and return there whenever we need to. And you might have to do this 4 or 5 times a day some days, and other days you might just breeze through. But if today is a difficult day, sit, offer yourself the hand, put it wherever the feeling is. So say, for instance, if it's here, and what is that feeling? So certainly before I went out today, that feeling was aggravation. I was aggravated. I was annoyed. Don't want it, don't need it. Certainly don't need to spew it out into the collective. So that was my thing. Let's go and have a walk. Let's restore to balance. Spirit have been, as always, with me. And the messages are all very similar at the moment, that we have to look after our emotional state. What's going on around us at the moment is hard emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it. So we really need to be checking in and making sure we're okay. The card I pulled was interesting. It's the card of Scorpio. So Scorpio, my son's a Scorpio, great sign. This reminds us that we need to speak our truth. Now, it don't mean we've got to stand on a rostrum and shout it and try and get other people to agree with us. It just means that it's okay for us to have our opinion, and it doesn't matter if other people don't agree with us, and vice versa. We're entitled to have that opinion. There is a need, though, again, to examine the quality of this. Is our opinion making others feel bullied, intimidated? Is it kind? Is it loving what's coming out of us? Because we have a responsibility here of what we're putting out into the collective, and I can't stress this enough. So it takes very little thought and effort to be mean and unkind, doesn't it? It almost rolls off the tongue, especially when we're in a high state of emotion. It takes a little bit more self-control, self-awareness to step back and say, okay, I'm being triggered at the moment. Anything I put out now is not going to be true self. It's going to be literally ego. So I'm going to step back. This card reminds us of that. It reminds us to, if we haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Now, that doesn't mean we've got to walk around saying love and light and all that. Yeah, hopefully we're getting to the point where we realise there's more to it than that. But it does mean that sometimes we just got to sit and tend to ourselves and make sure we're okay before we start to put our energy onto others. The other thing this card greatly represents is to make sure we're seeing things as they are. Now, we're in a time of the greatest confusion I've ever known my whole lifetime. We're being hit from every direction, from believe this, believe that, believe them. Actually, how about we start to believe in what we know to be true? So all throughout my life, especially being a medium from like the age of 18, people have not agreed, not understood, been rude at times. Almost everybody who took the mickey until they needed me, and then it was great. So to not share the same opinion as the majority has kind of been my life story, and I make no apologies for that. I am who I am, you are who you are, and just because I don't think the same as you, or you don't think the same as me, doesn't mean one of us has to be silenced or censored. It just means that we've got to get to a point of emotional maturity where we can have a debate, have a discussion, and that is surely lacking at the moment. So Scorpio shows us that literally debate, discussion, it's almost like non-existent anymore, isn't it? We're also tiptoeing around, it's like the white elephant in the room, and no one's talking about anything. Hopefully that will pass. We knew the energies in January were going to be volatile, chaotic, controlling, and when we have all those three together, expect some kickback from self. Self wants to be free and natural and healthy and joyful. So the situation we're finding ourselves now is very abnormal, especially for a human, especially for the self, the soul. The next card, and I only pulled two, but I got Scorpio next to Capricorn. So Capricorn shows us that to keep going. Do you remember, I don't know if you saw my broadcast, it makes me sound like the Queen, doesn't it? The broadcast I did, and I was talking about the astrological predictions for the year to come, and it was about now getting innovative, I can never say that word, innovative, you know what I mean, and creative, and getting ourselves to a point where we're not sitting there thinking of a point of what we're lacking, actually, what can I offer? So I say a lot, you know, this creativity we have, our talents, our gifts, whether that's you're a kind person and people find you easy to talk to, maybe you can read the cards, maybe you work with energy. It's time for us to put some effort and confidence into these things. So we'll never get confident at something until we keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And then we have to listen to the feedback. And if people are saying that was really good, thank you, take that on board. In my role as therapist, we kind of start to understand that it takes 1,000 compliments to overcome one insult. Pretty full on, isn't it? So this is very much reminding us to not forget our skills and our creativity, because almost if you think about this space, we could use this to create new, or we could use it to cling to the old. Humans, we want to cling to the old because we like things the same, but we are being urged again, let go with the flow, see what comes up. This is also a time of great division, and we're seeing it, aren't we? Very sad. I don't like it. I find it very uncomfortable with all this division. I'm shouting, you're shouting, everyone's shouting, and we're missing the point. We've got to come back to a place of, okay, you've got your thing going on, I've got mine. We might not agree, but I'll hear you out. Maybe you could teach me something that would change my mind, or vice versa. But this way we've got now, shouting and swearing, being rude, it takes very little, as I said, emotional intelligence, and it's very, very low level basic stuff. So if you are at that place at the moment, or if maybe people around you are, guard yourself against it. And if you are finding that things are quite negative and hard for yourself at the moment, a little bit of a cue to go and restore your balance, whatever that may be. So for me, it could well be a nice walk down the river. I'm going to come home, I've got a nice cup of tea, I'm going to do my pine cones, to be revealed, and then maybe tonight a funny film, something that's mildly entertaining. So it's about, again, getting back to that point of balance and harmony. I'm going to do a live in the week. I'm not sure on what group I'll do it yet, or maybe I'll combine the lot if I can. But I'd like to start, if anyone wants to join me, on how to deal with these emotions that are coming up, because I think for a lot of us, it's different emotions every day, and it's like a roller coaster, isn't it? How can we deal with them? How can we tend to ourselves? And how can we keep ourselves in a balanced place? Everyone, you know, it's a bit like the moment everyone's shouting fire, and we need a calm person in the middle of it to say, this way then. Makes sense? We can't all go around in a state of perpetual fear. I almost want to help people move from fear to help them overcome that, because fear is on a very, very low frequency, very, very low vibration, and nothing will thrive there. Nothing good will come from that place. We need to move on from that, and we're capable of doing it. So talk long enough, I'll leave you with my thoughts. Feedback gratefully received. Just keep those cards in mind, that we are at this point in a difficult period, and it's kind of like how we handle ourselves, how we carry ourselves through this point, which will either help us or hinder us. So pay attention to where your attention goes, and thank you for listening. Take good care.